I was in Kiev when Russians invaded Ukraine, and that was quite an experience because there were a lot of rumors. People kept calling me and my colleagues and other police and military personnel that, okay, beware that there could be a landing, there could be airborne divisions of Russia landing nearby. My girlfriend was pregnant at home. She said, you know what, Tamerlan, just get the hell out of home and go defend your country. It's like, wow. And seeing like people walking around with machine guns and tanks and shelling, that was quite a shocking experience there.
Welcome to Combat Story. I'm Ryan Fugit, and I served war zone tours as an Army attack helicopter pilot and CIA officer over a 15-year career. I'm fascinated by the experiences of the elite in combat. On this show, I interview some of the best to understand what combat felt like on their front lines. This is Combat Story. Tamerlan, thanks so much for taking the time to share your story with us today.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so you're in a very scenic location, which we'll get to in just a moment. For those who can't see you, who are just listening, you've got a very cool backdrop. But very quickly, for people who don't know, Tamerlan Vahabov, former advisor to the Director of Defense Procurement, Ministry of Defense in Ukraine, also head of the Reform Office and advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs in Ukraine, been in government, law enforcement in a variety of places. Very close to my heart, you studied at Georgetown, right around the same time I did. Spent time at Naval Postgraduate School, and obviously 2 degrees in Azerbaijan. Lots to cover. Want to make sure we get there, but we're 3 years in to the war with Russia invading Ukraine here in February of 2025. You are really an expert when it comes to defense procurement, weapons, military, and we'll talk about what's going on, of course, and some of your background. But just curious, where were you when you found the news that Russia was invading 3 years ago?
Well, Ryan, thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm happy to be here in this platform and wishing you further success in making this a popular platform. I'm sure it is. So as for your question, well, I was invited back to Ukraine, because I had lived there before for several years. But I was holding a government position in Azerbaijan in August 2021, and an unexpected call from the newly appointed team of the Minister of Interior of you on the plane and come here, let's discuss your, job opportunities. So, it was like some people knew me, they recommended, they called me, and I said, like, well, yeah, okay, let's do that. And a long story short, I went to Kiev and accepted the offer to become an advisor and to the minister and head of the Reform Office responsible for security sector, National Guard, Border Troops, Police, etc. And it was October 2021, several months before the invasion. So obviously when Russians invaded Ukraine and came to Kiev, I was in Kiev, in Ukraine. And that was quite an experience because, although I have a military background and I've been to war zones before, but that was something, because I love Kiev. It's my, I would say, favorite city in the world. Wow. I can definitely say that. And seeing like people walking around with machine guns and tanks and shellings, that was quite a shocking experience there. And what we did, the first thing we did, we spent time as an advisor to the minister. We went straight to the Kiev City Police Department, and we started forming volunteer, small units of volunteers, and we were arming them with Kalashnikovs. Yeah, that was quite an experience. And at that night, exactly what's gonna come, what is coming, there were a lot of rumors. People kept calling me and my colleagues and other police and military personnel that, okay, beware that there could be a landing, there could be airborne divisions of Russia landing nearby. But we were prepared to fight, basically. And we spent the entire night there. And then well, it's a personal story, but my girlfriend was pregnant at home. Can you imagine that in Kiev? And it's shelling everywhere. We can hear this. And there we were. She said, you know what, Tamerlan, just get the hell out of home and go defend your country. It's like, wow.
Wow.
That's what she said. So that's what I did. And So that was my first encounter directly with the Russians.
What an amazing story. And you've got a very interesting background, Tamerlan, with law enforcement, the military side. Can you share just a little bit? How did you get into these different roles earlier?
Well, I mean, I have a long career actually in both government and private sector, but when it comes to law enforcement and military, I started as a cadet at the Academy of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Azerbaijan, and I lived in barracks for 4 years in uniform, etc. It was like a military academy that would produce police officers and National Guard officers, which is a military unit. I mean, it used to be called internal troops in the Soviet Union. So now in Ukraine, this is National Guard. So it's like semi-military law enforcement like unit. So after graduation, I worked for almost 3 years at the Drug Enforcement Department of Azerbaijan of the Ministry of Interior. I was responsible for the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and Azerbaijani Ministry of Interior Affairs, Internal Affairs project of drug enforcement project in the South Caucasus. So that was my role. And after that, I got a job with Interpol's General Secretariat in France, Lyon. And I spent 2005 and 6 there. I was the co-chief and co-coordinator, let's say, of the anti-terrorism project there. I was responsible for former Soviet Union, including Ukraine, Russia, Chechnya, and South Asia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Central Asia, dealing with Islamic, like violent manifestations of like Islamic radicalization, terrorist organizations, their links with different areas for financing, let's say even up to Triple Frontera, it's like tri-border area in Latin America. Because I mean, I speak Spanish, and I was also responsible for that part. So that's why that was quite a fascinating story, let's say. And after that, I went back to Azerbaijan to work for 1 year at the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan. Was responsible for the U.S. Bilateral relationship. Back there, I was partially covering the security as well. I was actually inside the team that was responsible for driving the Russians out of Azerbaijan with their radar station. If you remember in 2007, the United States had plans to deploy a missile defense system in Poland and Czech Republic. And Putin offered, back then it was George W. Bush, him to jointly use Azerbaijani radar station that is in Azerbaijan, the Soviet one. We didn't want it as Azerbaijan, and so didn't the U.S. So I was, together with my minister, negotiating with the U.S. side how to kick the Russians out. Basically,
it's a common theme.
Yes. And we did it. We succeeded. They left because we increased the rent. We tripled it.
It's all about money.
That was the reaction. And Russians asked us, okay, you know what, if you do that, okay, let us tell that your radar station is crappy. At least let us save our faces. It's like, okay, just leave, say whatever you want.
Wow.
That's a bit funny, but that was my experience there. And back after that, I went to the United States, studied at the Naval Postgraduate School, got my Master of Science degree in guerrilla warfare, defense analysis. Then Georgetown, Masters. I lived there for several years, almost 5 years. And then I was an entrepreneur for 10 years in defense sector, education, and information technologies, mostly serving. I was a government contractor for several countries. And after that, I went back again to Azerbaijan to work as a deputy director for small and medium-sized enterprise development for 2 years. Then I was head of the United Transit Operator. It's a state-owned company in Azerbaijan, responsible for all the transit of goods in Azerbaijan. And it was like an anti-corruption move, given my security background, because my main task was to identify all the organized crime and corrupt, let's say, schemes and models used in the region, together with Georgian counterparts. So we did it. A lot of people got fired. And after that, I got an invitation to Ukraine to reform the Ministry of Interior. After that, unfortunately, our minister died in a helicopter crash, Minister Monastyrsky, if you remember, like 2 years ago. So, and then I was invited to Ukroboronprom, it's Ukrainian government defense industry corporation. I worked there for 2 years as an advisor to the director of Ukroboron Service. It's like largest special exporter, responsible for supply and production, and ammunition supply, production, etc. That's what I did. I have a lot of stories to tell about that also.
I bet.
And my last job was with the Minister of Defense of Ukraine. I was an advisor to the Defense Procurement Agency. So here it is.
That's great. And so it sounds like you are from Azerbaijan, not Ukraine. Is that right?
Originally, yes.
Yes. But does Ukraine feel like you're defending your home country on this?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, my, let's say, everything first happened to me in Ukraine, a lot of things. My kids were born there, and my daughter is half Ukrainian, and I've lived in Kiev since 2010. And everything is here. My family, my residence, my house, my favorite car, everything is here. So I'm based here. It is my home. So of course, and I still go from time to time to places close to the front line. Of course, I do not engage in combat because I do not have authority for that. But yeah, of course, I'm doing everything I can for Ukraine.
And we'll talk more about what the front lines look like. You're in Istanbul now on a work trip. Just for people's awareness, can you kind of share what is the kind of work you're doing now? Since you're not in that advisory capacity any longer, you're still fighting this war, right?
Yeah. Well, I do several things. I do scientific work right now because I'm working on a few scientific, let's say, research areas related to the war. That's one thing. And the second thing, I'm still trying to coordinate supplies of ammunition, especially its parts and components of artillery shells, mortar bombs like TNT, RDX, fuses, increment charges, propellant charges, powder, because this is like a big deficit all across Europe and Ukraine. So I'm helping to open new supply channels to Ukraine. So our, let's say, state-owned companies and in Ukraine and Europe do not stop. So this is one of my major tasks. I'm also partially helping Czech Initiative for Ammunition. I'm in touch with our Czech colleagues at the Ministry of Defense on both. So I'm in the game, but right now I took a pause to deal with all these issues and also complete my research, and then I will probably go back to the government.
Interesting. So when you and I were coordinating this interview, we talked briefly about just a few days ago, there was an attack, I think certainly on Ukraine, I think on Kiev, with maybe 260 drones that came over.
Yes.
For many of us Americans, we know drones like the Reapers from our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and now we see DJI drones. What are these drones actually like when you're sitting in Kiev and you see 260 come across? What do they look like? What are the sizes, capabilities? It's evolving quickly.
Well, if you're talking about UAVs, drones specifically, this is mostly drones that are made based on the Iranian Shaheds. This is a fixed wing drone with an internal combustion engine. Most of them, they're getting quieter, but you can still hear them. This is quite a fascinating story. It's tragic and fascinating at the same time, because you know that they're bringing death, and destruction, and there are a lot of them. And sometimes you can just be sleeping and you hear this engine noise. It reminds you a moped, a small motorcycle flying over your house, and that then you'll identify, this is it. And then boom, if you're nearby, it can hit something, I don't know, some building, or our glorious, I would say, air defense people shoot them down. They do a great job. I mean, we are extremely grateful because they are saving our lives of civilians, of children and elderly and civilian infrastructure. But this is, I would say for most people, it's scary. I'm a military person. I wouldn't say I'm not scared, but I'm expecting that. But a lot of people do not want to accept this reality, and they're right. They're civilians. So this is quite dangerous, because even if the air defense system destroys the drone, its parts can fall on your house or on you, which happens. So this is, and they're bringing a payload, quite an impressive payload, and also our drones are cheap, relatively. Russia can make a lot of them. And they increase the number. This is the thing. I mean, they are hitting the right record lately. Like last 2-3 weeks, it's 100, 200, 300 drones a night.
And that's making it to Kiev.
No, not all of them, of course.
Not all of them, yeah.
Some of them, yes. I mean, Kiev Oblast, Kiev, like region.
Yeah. Region,
yeah. But most of them fly to Kiev, to Odessa, to other places, urban settlements, as if they are targeting some centers of decision making, as they say.
Yeah. Are these mainly controlled by one individual, or is there any autonomous capability in these now?
You mean for UAVs?
Yeah.
If you're talking specifically about the Shahed UAVs, well, this is like a deep strike, right? They don't have any, let's say, smart capabilities on them. They have coordinates. It's an inertial navigation, and they are sent there. But they have quite an agile system to fly and avoid areas where electronic warfare is active. So, I mean, if you put it simply, so everyone understands, so this is how it works. But it is quite efficient from their point of view to bring, let's say, destruction to our civilian infrastructure, which is, I don't understand what's the point, because this unites Ukrainian people even more against Russians. You know, the more they strike, the more we are united. I mean, it backfires at them. But yes, it destroys things, but people die, but this is not affecting the course of the war. I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, I know, but this is backfire. Let's say. But no, I mean, they do not have any like smart technologies on them. Like that is something extraordinary. No.
It it just occurs to me as we look at the war, and you've been following it so closely. You've written just some great articles in global papers about some of the challenges that the Ukrainian defense industry is facing. So I'm curious to get your take on where that stands now, and what do you think is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months with Ukraine and Russia, with the way things are moving?
Well, when it comes to the challenges, there are a lot of challenges in the Ukrainian defense industry and defense procurement generally. When it comes to the system itself, the major problem is the collection and analysis of the needs for the Ukrainian army by the headquarters of the army headquarters. It has to be quicker, more dynamic, more efficient, more precise. There are still problems. I mean, I will not be able to share everything. Yeah, it's sensitive information, but overall, these are the problems. And then another problem is with the Ministry of Defense itself, well, when it comes to the procurement side of it, because the procurement depends on the needs analysis and assessment that need to precisely reflect the frontline needs. That is not always the case in Ukraine's case. And when it goes to the DPA, Defense Procurement Agency, and its regulating bodies, departments that are above that, there again, there are problems with identifying those goods that are needed for the army, like weapons, ammunition, etc., because there's a global deficit of ammunition generally, mortar bombs, artillery shells, howitzers, and their components. So you have to really know the market very well to identify direct suppliers, and so you don't go to intermediaries. If you don't know that, there are a lot of middlemen that, or is it just, sorry for my French, it's crooks.
Yeah.
Come and take money and then disappear. Or it's like a triple the price, then a lot of non-deliveries, delays, which affects the front line, of course. So you really have to be a professional in that. And the third thing is UAVs. UAV, yes, we have great companies in Ukraine that can do an amazing job. They are very agile, and they have almost all types of drones. But the problem is we do not have a joint unmanned systems architecture, which in my opinion is important, as you have it in the United States. I think it was designed by Rand Corporation in the 90s. It's like an interoperability platform on a physical and logical level for all unmanned systems. If you don't have that, it affects your war tactics, because you don't know how to deploy them together and how they will speak to each other, let's say, and if their spare parts are interchangeable on a logical and physical level. If you don't have that, your assets are let's say, spread out, and they are not as they don't have this cumulative effect.
Yeah.
And that's in the war. Like when it comes to procurement, that's another problem because Defense Procurement Agency cannot communicate it to investors and to businesses who produce them what is needed.
Just a quick word from our sponsor, NordVPN, and we'll get right back to this combat story. As many of you know, my background in the Army and USG makes me a bit paranoid when it comes to my online profile. I've been doxxed by some unfriendly groups and really don't want to give adversaries anything they can use against me. This is why I use NordVPN. For me, I use NordVPN when I'm looking at more sensitive data online like banking and financial information and when sharing tax-related info. I also use NordVPN on my phone or laptop when I'm traveling, at a hotel, a coffee shop, on public Wi-Fi to keep prying eyes off my business. What's great is that NordVPN has the fastest VPN in the world, so you don't get the buffering and other challenges when you need it, and it's got threat protection features that keep you safe. Lastly, I've used NordVPN to get access to shows and information that I otherwise would not have been able to, including for my kids when we were abroad. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/combatstory. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. And now, back to this combat story.
Mm-hmm. So this creates a risk for corruption because you need to go to units, ask them, they tell you something which you're not sure if it's true that they need it. If they need it, yes, I need this, and you invest 1 million, 2 million euros, let's say dollars, and then the headquarters says, okay, we don't need that, and you're bankrupt. This is, and in order to get this information, there is a red tape and also a lot of lobbying through the entire chain to understand what is really needed, what will be bought. So not every company has this capability to get inside and know this, and sometimes it is associated with, fortunately, corruption and lobbying or friendships or whatever. I mean, these are the risks. I'm not saying that it's always like that.
No, it's real.
This creates a risk. That's why our drone industry is not as sustainable as it could have been. That's why we cannot get to the level of parity with Russians. Let's say they strike 200 drones per night. We cannot do the same. Why not? Because of this, And
how do you overcome the global deficit for some of these munitions and capabilities?
It is important to reach out to countries which are not under U.S. sanctions, but they have these capabilities, and start buying it from them. If we're talking about firefighting right now, I mean, of course, ideally, we would need to invest more, all the allies of Ukraine and NATO, into the propellant charges, powder, TNT, RDX, fuses, etc. But I think it's not timely right now. It's very capital intensive. But right now, we need professionals at the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, procurement, its management, to go out and find and identify those companies where you can buy those things. So because otherwise, because all the European and American factories, most of them are depleted or overbooked over the coming years. So we are in a very difficult situation. It's a deadlock almost, but we can do maximum to squeeze out everything from what we have right now globally.
So it's not just, I mean, some of these places can't produce anymore, but even if they could, there's this idea of, are they producing the thing that you actually need on the front lines, or that has the longer term capability and interoperability? Okay, that's interesting.
That's right. And this is actually the advantage Russia has over us, because they can buy it from Iran, they can buy it from North Korea. I don't know if they're buying it from China or not. I will not be claiming that, but I'm sure that North Korea is selling them a lot of stuff. So we also need to identify our countries that are not under sanctions, that are legitimate, and so we can work with them outside of Europe. I mean, then there are some of them, but unfortunately, in Ukraine, the defense sector, this the lack of professionals and sometimes corruption hindered this. Which is not a secret. It was on the media recently. First Deputy Minister of Defense, General Havryluk, he admitted this, and he said there were problems with professionalism, with non-deliveries, because of that. That's why they removed the chief of the Defense Procurement Agency and the deputy minister responsible for supplies. So
I also don't want to paint a picture like America is great at this. I mean, we have experience with the procurement process, but we always want it to be faster. I have been on the tactical side and not gotten what I needed from a deep investment in funds. We have our own corruption, but you're dealing with it on another scale right now. It's crazy.
Of course.
How do you see? How do you see the next 2 to 3 months playing out with what's going on now on the ground and at the strategic level with Ukraine and Russia?
I think a lot depends on Ukraine as well here, because Ukraine is at the war and it is suffering this Russian aggression, of course. I think it is important for United States and Ukraine start talking seriously. It is very difficult to forecast anything right now, what's going to happen. But I'm anticipating these talks on a technical and professional level between Trump and Zelensky administration, first of all, and see what is the outcome, because I think it's too early to make any predictions. If the deal is going through, which looks like it's going through, the deal on rare earth materials, and U.S. will have a vested interest in Ukraine, and Ukraine will get its share from that deal also. Like type of production share agreement type.
Tamerlan, can you explain what that deal looks like just at a high level for people who might not be familiar?
Sure. Well, President Trump offered this deal to explore and extract Ukraine's rare earth materials, or aluminum, etc., titanium. It is needed for production of various products for defense industry, IT, and I don't know, batteries, etc., etc. I'm not an expert on that, but I'm just but this is what Ukraine has. It has a rich soil, and it is positioned by the Trump administration, by the White House, as a payback for all the international assistance that came from the United States to Ukraine. And at the beginning, the demand was much higher, but it looks like 500 billion repay from Ukraine in the form of those materials and the revenues from it. But now, as I understand, because the details are not yet fully disclosed. It is disclosed, but I can tell you that there will be a joint fund set up between Ukraine and the United States. That will, let's say, gather all the revenues, and the United States will have its stake there. Ukraine will have its stake there, and the United States will be taking back its, let's say, returning its investment into Ukraine, if it makes sense. So this way, Ukraine will also get its revenue share there, smaller maybe at the beginning, and then it might increase. I think I would do this. I would definitely increase Ukraine's share later. At the same time, for Ukraine, it is interesting because it will bring in technologies, expertise, jobs, and also having the U.S. investment in Ukraine will somehow secure it militarily from direct attacks, possibly. But the only thing that is still missing in this deal is a specific security guarantees to Ukraine, which worries me, honestly speaking. It's not there yet, but I think that has to be there. So if it is weaker than Budapest Memorandum of 1994, that was signed by leading nuclear powers to disarm Ukraine from Soviet stockpile, well, it didn't work.
Nope.
Unfortunately. So I hope they will come to an agreement on specific mechanism for security guarantees, which is missing. That's in a nutshell, on a strategic level, this is how it looks like right now. But let's see, because they need to go and talk.
Yeah. With your high profile, the kind of strategic roles you've been in, and public facing image, do you have to be careful just about your security as you travel, your family, just in general? I'm sure you meet some very interesting people in these different occupations you've had.
Oh yeah. It is dangerous. I mean, honestly speaking, I haven't had any direct threats, but I could hear from here and there how various actors in those countries where I go for what we need in Ukraine, military goods. There are some warnings, why this guy was here. We know that he's doing the job for Ukraine, and he studied in the United States. These kind of things, of course, make me cautious. But that's why. But this is my job. Is what my education is. My profile is. I knew what I'm doing, where I'm going into, security sector. I'm sure you also know this. So, I mean, there are a lot of crazy stories about that, but.
Yeah, I think one of the differences, though, is my family wasn't always like right on the front lines with me the way they are with you. I mean, you've got a very real concern there for sure.
Fortunately, my daughter studies in Europe, in the European Union. So she's there.
Tamerlan, can you take us through maybe just one experience that really stands out with some interesting characters you may have rubbed shoulders with, had meetings with in some of these roles you've had?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are many of them, of course. When I was with the Ukrainian government, like recently, was this war, let's say, there were several hundreds of pieces of American machinery, like military machines, like combat vehicles. Okay, I will name it. It's Paladin 109.
Okay, Paladin,
It's, those. And it's an American-made grain machines. It's 155 millimeter self-propelled artillery systems for our viewers to understand what it is. And of course, we need howitzers, always both stout and those. And no one would able to go into that country. It's a small country in the Middle East. And a lot of people in Ukraine and all over were talking about, okay, we need to get those cars, those vehicles, we will pay for it, of course. I mean, and it was like a very expensive deal, potential for the government. We're talking about several hundreds of millions. And I said, like, okay, let me try, because I know some people there. And I thought, Marco, you will not be able to do that. Okay, several people went there. They just had some whiskey and came back, and no one showed them anything. I said, okay, let me try. And I took one of my colleagues, and we flew just to the Middle East. And it's like, okay, I made some phone calls in advance, of course, and people came. I said, like, okay, what do you need? I said, well, this and that. I said, okay, no problem, but don't tell them where you come from, and just tell them that you work for, I don't know, some local defense company. I said, okay.
and don't say that you're from Ukraine, basically.
Yes.
Just, interesting.
And don't show anything. And they say, okay, don't wear, put on this. It's a military style uniform, like type of thing, And we went there, and they showed us the El Dorado of weapons and ammunition, of rockets, of vehicles, everything. It's like, damn, if you buy these, we can win several Ukrainian wars. Like, I was shocked. I was like, okay, here are our keys. You can drive in. Okay, wait a second. I'm not a engine driver or something. I can do it, but you do it. Show me it works.
Yeah.
We did the inspection. I said, like, okay, how do we get this out from here? That was another challenge, because Ukraine warned me that you cannot get the export license from that country.
Okay.
I was like, well. I was like, yeah. Well, the military guy said, okay, this is a official military base, which it was guarded, of course. Everyone is a military, and so, but those are owned by a private company. It's like, which private company? That one. I said, oh, and it popped up in my memory that I know the guy who owns this company, and I called him as well. And then this guy came together with the military. We sat down. I said, look, okay, yeah, here's a paper of ownership, everything, and military confirms it. It's like, and my colleagues gets more and more shocked from Ukraine as we go. I'm like, okay, I'm a musician sometimes, and then it's like, okay, there is a third problem. United States has to give the authorization for that third party transfer authorization, TPT certificate. It's like, okay, wait a second, make another call to my classmate from one of those universities that he was in a position, and he connects me with a local guy from your country also. And
wow.
Okay, yeah, he made a few calls, and in 1 or 2 days, it's okay, we are ready to provide you with this. I'm like, oh. That was like, it was quite an experience, and no one knew who we are, but we solved the problem at that level, with 3 actors. The government of that country, the company, which I apparently knew, and then my classmates helped me.
Yeah, so much to do with
So,
relationships.
great.
Yeah, these people, you know,
Networking works.
huge. Jeez.
If younger people listen to us, I think they should know this. I mean, this is
Yeah.
very important. Another thing is related to my previous job, long time ago. One of my bosses, he's still active duty. He's a general, and a lot of people were accusing him. Like, oh yeah, you torture people. It's like, well, he was not actually,
Yeah.
but he was ready to meet. And one of the Western countries asked for a meeting, and I was there. And this guy didn't speak English, so can you help? I was a young guy, I was like, can you translate? No problem. I came in to translate, and then said, like, I will make some jokes, but don't take it seriously, don't laugh. And it's like, okay. And then these people from the Western country
Yep.
came, said, like, oh yeah, Mr. General, whatever. Thank you for finding time to meet us, etc. And this guy comes, he's a big guy, like 6'3" or 4. Like he's like rubbing his hands. Yeah, I'm really busy actually. I just came back from torturing people,
Yeah. How'd that go over? Yeah.
Huh?
How did that go over with the crowd? Yeah, I'm sure.
They were like, their jaws dropped. It's like, and then he's like, okay, tell them it's a joke.
Yeah. Nice.
It's like, it's a joke. And he sat down with them and he relaxed them. He said, like, don't worry, guys. I mean, I will prove you that I'm not as bad as you think I am. And yeah, they went over a lot of things. They got convinced and they loved him. They became friends.
Yeah, that's great.
But that joke,
that's awesome.
But I was laughing like it. So, I mean, I love stories like that.
Yeah. Tamerlan, what do you see yourself doing in the next year or two? You still you're just living in Ukraine, fighting this war, supporting somehow finding your way into government again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm committed to Ukraine. I'm doing everything here. I mean, let's say right now, I do not stop my war against Russia because my war started a long time ago, even when I was in Azerbaijan. A lot of things I can talk about it later.
Yeah.
But right in the next 1 or 2 years, of course, I'm planning to go back to the government at some point. And right now, I'm doing everything in my capacity, whatever I can, because my hands are free without the government title. So that's why I can travel and I do everything at my own expense. So I don't get any money for that. It's just a volunteer work, let's say, but that's what I do. And yeah, in 1 or 2 years time, I might go back.
Yeah. Can you tell us where did your, oh no, go ahead. Keep going.
Tell me.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, I never asked for a position, it all came unexpectedly. So I'm sure that at some point things and this situation will be as such that I will need to go back and help in a different capacity. Yeah, please go ahead. I
was going to ask, please tell us, where did your fight with Russia start that you just alluded to?
Yeah. It started back in Azerbaijan at the Ministry of Internal Affairs when I was responsible for the drug enforcement in the South Caucasus. Georgia and Azerbaijan are allies, and we were working together as part of the UNDP, United Nations Development Project, and UNODC, which is based in Vienna. It is United Nations Office on Drugs and Organized Crime. A lot of resolutions that we were fighting with Russians to condemn drugs trafficking, human beings trafficking, and other dangerous materials and radiological materials trafficking through occupied territories of former Soviet Union, let's say Transnistria, Ossetia, Abkhazia, Nagorno-Karabakh, etc., etc. So that was our goal, to prevent it, because that's an uncontrolled, illegitimate regimes are there, just similar to what's going on now in Ukraine. So Russians, of course, did not want to support those resolutions. I suspect that they had some interest in that. I cannot prove that, but to our knowledge, that was the case. And they were fighting us fiercely, and it was like a normative and legal battlefield, let's say, over the table. So I know I was a young officer, and it was difficult for me because this kind of battlefield, let's say, diplomatic.
Yeah,
it's tough to withstand. It's tough to restrain yourself. You really have to be very cold-blooded, professional, careful for every comma and dot there.
Interesting.
Because this is how it started. Then it continued when I was at Interpol General Secretariat. Of course, I could see what they're doing with Chechnya problem, and of course, there were a lot of human rights violations among civilian Chechens. Not all Chechens are terrorists or separatists.
Yep.
It's a people of 1.5 million, I guess, as far as I remember. So we would not be. I would personally be against, and I would say my word against those requests by Russia on innocent people. You really have to check them carefully before you announce an international search for them. From Interpol.
Wow.
So these kind of things, and we were working together with our American colleagues there and other colleagues and myself. So this was a second, I think, iteration of my war with them. And third one was on radar station that I just mentioned. I think this is my personal victory because I was discussing this. Yeah, because I was talking with my US vis-a-vis how to make Russians peacefully leave that place. And we succeeded. I mean, they had at some point left. And after that, I went to California, to relax near the Pacific Ocean. No, I'm kidding. But I was at the Naval Postgraduate School. Yeah. But still, it's a great, great place. My condo was like 2 blocks away from the Pacific Ocean.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. Yeah.
So that's how it went, and then Ukraine.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So earlier you mentioned earlier all of your favorite things are in Kiev now, including your favorite vehicle. Do you have what is that? What is your favorite vehicle? Are you a car guy or no?
Yeah. Well, okay. It's Porsche 911. I love that car.
So how do you make sure nothing hits that? I mean, in a war zone, it's like you got to protect it.
It's closely concealed, covered in my garage outside Kiev.
Love it.
I don't drive it.
Okay.
And it's wintertime.
Yeah. Tamerlan, just as we wrap up here, for people who are listening, mainly a U.S. audience, what would you ask of them or want them to know about what's going on that they might not see as clearly?
If they have the opportunity, just pray for civilians, for no matter who they are, Christian, Judaism, Islam, whatever, Buddhism, whatever religious faith they have or they don't have, doesn't matter, but just to pray and think about those children and elderly and handicapped people that are in Ukraine, and our brave soldiers that lost their arms and legs, and families that are without their sons or daughters. Pray for us, and if they have any opportunity to help them financially or with goods, just find a way to do it.
Yeah.
This is good. Like as a moral duty of any person anywhere in the world, actually, where the war is, but including in Ukraine. So especially that, just be with us morally, because we are fighting for our common security. Yeah. And we will do that.
Thank you so much for the time, Tamerlan. This has been a blast. I hope we get to meet again, and I hope we see you somewhere in the government not too far into the future.
The most important thing is to win and to finish and stop people from dying. But thank you for this. It was awesome talking to you. And let's talk again.
Thanks so much, Tamerlan. Just a quick word from our sponsor, Delete Me. Having spent many years in the security space, I'm acutely aware of how much personal information is floating around on the web and what bad actors can do with it, from identity theft to phishing, harassment, doxing, unwanted spam calls, and more. I have, in fact, been doxed by some very bad people, which can present a physical threat, but also financial risks that nobody wants. That's why I personally recommend Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. I got my most recent report earlier this month, and it saved me over 40 hours of trying to do this myself. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners, Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting COMBAT to 64000. Text COMBAT to 64000. That's COMBAT to 64000. Disclaimer, message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Thanks for listening to this combat story.